Hello, my name is Stephen Roman. I'm the author of A Primer on Folding Knives. I've received several emails from people who are curious about what's in my knife collection. So recently I did a video showing my collection. What attracted most attention from that video were the William Henry knives. So I thought it might be a nice idea to do a shorter video just on the William Henry knives and show a little more detail on those knives. William Henry Studios makes high-end knives. They also make jewelry and pens and other things. Their knives tend to be on the smaller side. Blade length, maximum length is about a little over 3 inches. They're very lightweight knives, as you'll see when I go through my collection. Price range is pretty hefty. It starts at, I think, $450 and goes for their high-end line, and it goes to over $25,000. I put a picture of a $25,000 William Henry folder in my book in case you're curious about that. Their production runs range from single units, they do make one-of-a-kind knives, the more expensive ones, to I think somewhere around 1,000, maybe 1,500, but most of the runs I think are less than that. There is a significant aftermarket in William Henry knives. As a matter of fact, I only own one William Henry knife that's in current production, although it just went out of stock, that I bought from a store. All my other knives were purchased from collectors or on eBay. They're all new with one exception, but could be quite old in terms of when they were manufactured. There are a number of people who collect William Henry knives and just store them away, don't touch them, and then put them up for sale at a later date. All my knives are either liner locks or button locks. The T-series knives from William Henry were liner locks, but they are long since discontinued. The B-series are button locks, and that's the current series of knives. And they range in size from very small, maybe 3 inches, 4 inches overall length, up to 7 inches, or a little over 7 inches. The first William Henry I purchased was an all-carbon fiber knife, and I must have bought that 20 years ago, and I loved that knife. I carried it all the time, and then one day I reached in my pocket and it was gone. So I was never able to replace it because it was discontinued. I did replace it with this knife. This is probably 8 years old, maybe more. I believe it's called an Atlas. The current model of this is slightly different, and it's called an Atlas. So this may or may not have been called an Atlas when I bought it. It's titanium scales, ZDP 189 blade, button lock. I carried this for many years in my pocket with some keys, which was a mistake. It did mark up the scales quite a bit. I could send it back to William Henry to have them buff it out, but I like this knife the way it is. It looks like it's used, and it is used. William Henry says that their knives are made to be used, and I found that to be true. They say as long as you don't pry with them or hack with them for cutting and slicing, normal knife use, they're quite substantial. They're lightweight, but they're very rugged, very usable. This knife, as a matter of fact, weighs in at a little over, is about 2.5 ounces. So, I'm going to go through these in sort of order of price, and as they go higher in price, they get more elaborate. This one is called an attaché. It's a B15. The B refers to the button lock. 15 refers to roughly to the length or size of the knife. The blade is tungsten DLC coated ZDP 189. So it's not real reflective, as you can see here, because of the coating. The bolsters titanium, the scales are carbon fiber, and there's a plain leather lanyard. Almost all the knives from William Henry have lanyards. William Henry does make another series of knives called the E series, which is their entry-level series that are, in my opinion, just simply not as nice as the B series and the older T series. The next knife is called the Nautilus. This knife was manufactured on May 23rd of 2005. The William Henry knives come in nice boxes, and they have a slip case, which I'll talk about a bit later, and a piece of paper that describes the properties of the knife, and sometimes it'll say the actual birth date of the knife. This is also a ZDP 189 blade. It's a laminate. I think you can see where the lamination line is. Titanium bolster, mother of pearl, scales, and the button and the thumb stud also have mother of pearl. The lanyard is, again, a plain, simple leather lanyard. Weight on the Nautilus, 2.2 ounces. This is called the Black and Tan. It's a T series, so it's a liner lock, T12 Black and Tan. This one, however, is a special Black and Tan. Carbon fiber scales, like all the Black and Tans, gold fittings, but the blade is a bit unique. It's extremely reflective. I think you can kind of see what's going on there. It's a very highly polished black coating. Weight on that Black and Tan is 1.5 ounces. This guy is a serious cutter, but he only weighs 1.5 ounces, so it's really nice. Next comes an unusual knife. This is called the T12 Superconductor. 100 of these knives were made. This happens to be number 54 in the group. The blade is ATS 34. Again, it's tungsten DLC coated. The scales are snakewood. Snakewood is a beautiful wood, in my opinion, but it is difficult to work with. As it happens, I also make pens, and I have a website where I sell my pens called thepenprofessor.com, and of all the pens I've made, only one has only one has been returned, and that was a snakewood pen. 6 months after I sold it, it cracked, and so I gave the person their money back. I hope this one isn't going to crack. This is quite an old knife, so I think I'm probably out of the woods here. But it's beautiful scales. And if you look at the bolster, you can see the pattern there, the kind of dot weave pattern. That is superconductor material. That's hence the name superconductor. This material came from, at the time this was made, the world's largest super collider was being planned, and the material was gathered for it, but funding was pulled, and so the material wasn't being used, and William Henry got a hold of some of it, and they made some knives, used it for some bolsters. Superconductor, the thumb stud on this one is a topaz. If you can see that, it's a little hard to see because it's a very light colored stone. the weight on this is 2.2 ounces. Overall length on all these knives, except for the last two I'm going to show you, is a little over 7 inches, maybe 7 1/4. Blade length is around 3 to 3 1/4 inches. Next knife is called the Yucatan. This is also ATS 34 on the blade, again coated snakewood scales, and the bolster is very beautiful. It's sterling silver, and the knob in the center is gold. This is a liner lock, so that's not a button. And the thumb stud has a tiger's eye, which I think you can just make out. You can bring it up a little bit here. I'm not sure whether the lighting is good here, but you can see the tiger's eye. So, weight on that is 2.5 ounces. This is the one knife I actually bought in a retail store recently. The knife is out of stock on William Henry's website, but there may still be some in stores. They'll disappear fairly soon, I would think. This is called a Gentac. It's a B30 series. It's a little bit different design. You can see on the bolster there's a little bit of different pattern, different design here, different shape. This has a Damascus blade. It's called Boomerang Damascus. The bolster is also Damascus. It's what they call Mind Melt Damascus. Scales are carbon fiber. There's the second bolster, also Damascus. On the button and the thumb stud are blazing red topaz gems. Now, I don't know if you can see that or not. And gold fittings also. Weight on this, 2.5 ounces. This lanyard's quite nice too. It's a beaded lanyard with gold fittings on the end. Next one up is a very special knife. Only 25 of these were made. It's called the B15 Prospector. The date on this knife is May 29th of 2008. Tungsten coated ZDP 189 laminate. Sterling silver, carved sterling silver bolster with sapphire thumb stud and sapphire button. The scales are desert ironwood. I don't know if you can see that very well or not. Unfortunately, this particular handle, the scales are a little bit, I don't know if cloudy is the right word, but kind of cloudy. It doesn't reflect well in the light. I actually sent the knife to William Henry to see if there's anything they could do about it, but there wasn't. They do not put a finish on their wooden scales. It's just the bare wood. So I was a little disappointed in that, but I can see quite a beautiful figure in this wood. I'm not sure whether you can or not. Weight on the Prospector is 1.9 ounces. Next one, another quite special knife. I don't know what the name of this is. It's very old. The box just says Custom T12 Sterling Diamond Damascus. So it's got a rainbow Damascus, raindrop Damascus pattern, which is really pretty. The scales, the entire handle is covered. It's a titanium frame, but the entire handle is sterling silver. That's all sterling with a pattern of dots in it. And the thumb stud has a diamond in it. This is a little bit heavier. This is a 4-ounce knife. I have not carried this one. I'm a little bit concerned about using it, but maybe someday I will. Oh, the lanyard is a leather lanyard with sterling silver beads on it. Next knife, coming to the end pretty soon here. This is my most recent acquisition from eBay. This is called the B12 DMD07 Catalina. It's a Damascus blade. The birth date on this knife is March 31st, 2008. It's a wave pattern Damascus ZDP 189 core, and this pattern is made, I think, from titanium deposits. So it's not a true Damascus or pattern welding blade. You can feel this material. You can feel a little bit of roughness to it. The bolster is also a Damascus. Let's see, they call this a, on the bolster, what do they call that? Oh, carbon ladder Damascus. 2 diamonds, one on the button, one on the thumb stud, and then this material for the scales is fossil mammoth tooth. It's at least 10,000 years old, because that's when the woolly mammoth died out. Lanyard with some sterling beads on the end. Okay, turn that one over. That was my most expensive knife, actually. Okay, 2 more, last 2. These are smaller knives. This is a T10. The scales are white bone. The bolster is sterling silver, also a dot-like pattern, similar to that earlier knife I showed you. An opal in the thumb stud. The blade is ATS 34. The overall length on this knife is 6 1/8. The blade length is 2.5 inches. This is the smallest, personally, I care for. I like the 3-inch blades better, but I have a couple of these because they're so pretty. But William Henry makes smaller ones. They make T9s and T5s, but they're too small for me. I don't like them that much. Also, a pretty lanyard with some sterling beads on it. And the last one, oh, weight on that, 1.8 ounces. The last one is also a T10. It has a sterling handle, and it has a sapphire in the thumb stud. The blade material, I believe, is 154 cm. And this also has a nice lanyard. So that's it. That's my collection. As far as carrying these knives, obviously that's up to every individual owner. I have no problem carrying this guy, or this guy certainly. If I'm not going to buy all these knives and not carry any of them. And this one. So those are the ones I usually carry. I'd like to carry this black and tan. I haven't yet put the blade coating to the test. And I actually have carried this Prospector too sometimes, even though there's only 25 of these in the world. The other ones I have not yet carried. How to carry them? They do not have pocket clips. The E-Series knives do come with pocket clips. These do not. But they do come, as I mentioned earlier, with little slip cases that have pocket clips on them. So you can clip the slip case to the inside of your pocket and then carry the knife in the it's like a scabbard. The problem is there's no closure, and that kind of worries me. I'm afraid that the knife then is at the surface of your pocket. It could fall out. Fortunately, I have a free pocket with nothing in it, and so I don't mind carrying one of these knives loose in my pocket. I know it's not going to get damaged, and it's deep in my pocket and very unlikely to fall out. But I try to keep an eye on it. You know, I'm always conscious of the fact that it's in there. So there you have it, William Henry Knives. Thanks for watching.